The first time the word embezzlement appeared beside Olivia Carter's name, she laughed. It was reflexive. Disbelief disguised as amusement. Olivia Carter, senior partner at Hawthorne and Vale, Harvard Law graduate, undefeated in 7 consecutive corporate fraud defenses, stealing money from her own firm? Absurd. The laughter died when she saw the faces in the conference room. No one else was laughing. The managing partner, Richard Vale, avoided eye contact. 2 members of the firm's internal audit team sat stiffly at the end of the table. A folder lay open before them, thick with printed spreadsheets. Olivia, Richard began carefully, we've identified several unauthorized transfers from firm accounts over the last 14 months. Olivia folded her hands on the polished mahogany table to stop them from trembling. Unauthorized by whom? By you. The word struck like a physical blow. That's impossible. The auditor slid the folder toward her. Highlighted entries. Dates. Routing numbers. Digital authorization codes. All bearing her credentials. Her fingerprint login. Her security pass. Her digital signature. Every transfer directed to a shell consulting company, Redwood Advisory Group. A company she had never heard of. Her stomach dropped. This is fabricated, she said, but her voice had lost its authority. We verified it with the bank, the auditor replied. $3 million. $3 million. The room felt smaller. The air heavier. Olivia had spent her entire career defending people accused of white-collar crime. She knew exactly how airtight this looked. Motive? Easily constructed. Access? Undeniable. Opportunity? Constant. It was perfect. Too perfect. She stood abruptly. Someone has hacked my credentials. The auditors exchanged a look. There's no sign of a breach. Richard finally met her eyes, and what she saw there chilled her more than the accusation itself. Not anger. Not disappointment. Fear. Until this is resolved, he said quietly, we're placing you on administrative leave. That night, Olivia stood in her dark apartment staring at the skyline of Manhattan. She replayed every transaction date. Every late night at the office. Every login. There had been nothing unusual. No security alerts. No password resets. No suspicious emails. Whoever did this didn't just steal money. They knew her. Knew her patterns. Her schedule. Her digital habits. Her thoughts drifted, uninvited, to the one chapter of her life she kept carefully sealed. The accident. She was 8 years old. There had been rain. A narrow bridge. Her mother screaming. The car flipped into the river. She remembered cold water filling her lungs. She remembered reaching for her sister's hand. Emma. Identical twin. 2 minutes younger. They had been inseparable. Until the river separated them. Olivia survived. Emma did not. The car had been pulled from the water hours later. Only one body recovered. Closed casket. Their father never spoke of it again. Olivia built her life on precision. On control. On facts. Facts didn't leave room for ghosts. And yet. As she stared at her reflection in the glass window, she felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Watched. 2 days later, federal agents arrived. They were polite. They were thorough. They confiscated her laptop, phone, and external drives. They informed her she was under formal investigation for corporate embezzlement and wire fraud. They told her not to leave the state. As they escorted her out of her own building lobby, under the gaze of neighbors pretending not to stare, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Silence. Then a breath. Slow. Familiar. You always were the favorite. The line went dead. Olivia stood frozen on the sidewalk. The voice had sounded like her own. She hired a private cybersecurity analyst the next morning, Daniel Reyes, former FBI Cybercrimes Division. Within hours of examining her confiscated backup data, he found something law enforcement had missed. "Whoever did this didn't hack you," Daniel said. "What do you mean?" "They mirrored you." He showed her side-by-side activity logs. Her genuine login timestamps. And another pattern. Perfectly interwoven. Like two threads braided together. "Someone cloned your digital identity," Daniel continued. "Not remotely. In person." Her blood ran cold. "In person?" "They had physical access to your devices. Multiple times." Olivia thought of the firm's shared offices. Of assistants. Of cleaning staff. Of colleagues. Then another thought, sharper. The voice on the phone. "You always were the favorite. Can you trace Redwood Advisory Group?" she asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "It was registered 18 months ago. The CEO listed is," he frowned at the screen. "Who?" "Evelyn Carter." The room tilted. Her mother's name. Olivia drove 3 hours north that afternoon. To the small town she hadn't visited in over 20 years. The house was abandoned now. Windows boarded. Paint peeling. She hadn't stepped foot there since her father's funeral. The river still ran behind the property. Calm. Innocent. Nothing like the violent current she remembered. She walked to the edge. Stared at the water. "Emma," she whispered, feeling foolish. The wind rustled the trees. Then. Crunch. Footsteps behind her. She turned sharply. No one there. Just forest. Her heart pounded. This is stress, she told herself. Trauma resurfacing under pressure. Logical explanations. Always logical. But as she turned back toward the river, she saw something caught in the branches along the bank. Fabric. Old. Faded. She climbed down carefully and pulled it free. A child's bracelet. Braided red thread with 2 silver beads. She had made 2 of them the summer before the accident. One for her. One for Emma. Her own had been lost years ago. This one looked newer than it should have. Almost preserved. As if it hadn't been underwater for 25 years. A cold realization crept into her bones. What if Emma never drowned? What if someone helped her disappear? Or worse. What if she didn't want to be found? That night, Olivia stayed in a roadside motel. At 2:17 a.m., her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. A text this time. "You weren't supposed to survive." Attached was a photograph. 2 little girls standing beside a river. Identical. Smiling. Except one face had been circled in red. Olivia's. Olivia didn't sleep. The motel room smelled faintly of bleach and stale air, and every time she closed her eyes she saw the photograph again, 2 little girls by the river, one circled in red. You weren't supposed to survive. At 4:12 a.m., she gave up pretending rest would come. She sat upright in bed, laptop balanced on her knees, Daniel Reyes on video call. He looked as exhausted as she felt. "Send me the image again," he said. She forwarded the text and the photograph. Within minutes, Daniel was running it through forensic analysis software. "It's not old," he said after a pause. "How not old?" "The photo is from an analog camera, yes. But this digital file? It was scanned recently. Within the last 6 months." Olivia's pulse ticked faster. "Can you trace the number?" "Burner phone. Disposable. But it pinged a tower about 30 miles from your location." "Here," she whispered. Yes. The implication hung between them. Emma wasn't just alive. She was close. By mid-morning, Olivia stood outside the small-town county records office. The clerk was elderly, kind-eyed, and suspicious of outsiders. Olivia used her legal charm carefully, warm but firm. "I'm researching property records connected to the Carter estate," she explained. The clerk clicked through digital archives. "After your father passed, the house transferred into a trust," she said. "But the trust was dissolved last year." "Dissolved?" Olivia's voice tightened. "Yes. Property was purchased outright by a private buyer." "Name?" The clerk hesitated. "It's public record." She turned the screen toward Olivia. "Evelyn M. Carter." Olivia felt the air leave her lungs. Not Emma. Not an alias. Their mother's name. The clerk continued, unaware of the earthquake unfolding in Olivia's mind. "She paid in cash." "Of course she did. $3 million could buy a lot of silence." The house was no longer abandoned. The boards were gone. The porch repaired. The paint fresh, pale gray, the same color their mother once favored. Olivia stood at the edge of the driveway, unable to move forward. This was absurd. Emma was dead. She had seen the grief. The funeral. The empty bedroom. Unless the body had never been hers. Unless their father had lied. Or been lied to. A car door slammed behind her. Olivia spun. A woman stood near a black sedan parked along the roadside. She wore a tailored coat, dark hair pinned back neatly. From a distance, she was simply another woman in her late 30s. Then she lifted her face fully into the light. Olivia forgot how to breathe. It was like looking into a mirror that had learned to hate her. The resemblance was exact. Same high cheekbones. Same sharp jawline. Same pale gray eyes. Except these eyes held something colder. "Hello, Liv," the woman said softly. The voice from the phone. Olivia's knees nearly gave out. "Emma." A faint smile. "I was beginning to think you'd never come." They stood facing each other across 10 feet of gravel and 25 years of absence. "You're dead," Olivia said finally. Emma tilted her head. "Clearly not." "How?" Emma laughed lightly, the sound hollow. "Is that really your first question?" Olivia swallowed. Thousands of questions screamed in her mind. Why didn't you come back? Why destroy me? Why now? "You took the money," Olivia said. "Yes. Why frame me?" Emma's expression hardened. "You mean why expose you?" "I didn't do anything." Emma stepped closer. "That's exactly the problem." They moved inside the house. It felt wrong, too familiar and too altered at the same time. The living room furniture was modern, minimalistic. But on the mantel sat an old framed photograph of their family. Mother. Father. 2 identical girls. Olivia approached it slowly. "You kept this," she whispered. "I kept everything," Emma replied. There was weight in that sentence. "Start talking," Olivia demanded. "You owe me that much." Emma leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You remember the bridge?" The question made Olivia's stomach twist. "Yes." "You remember the car flipping?" "Yes." "You remember reaching for my hand?" Olivia nodded, throat tight. Emma's voice dropped. "You let go." The accusation hit like ice water. "No," Olivia breathed. "The current." "You let go," Emma repeated. "You were always stronger. You kicked upward. You climbed out. You didn't look back." "I was 8. And I was drowning." Silence filled the room. Olivia's mind fractured under the memory. She remembered panic. Water. Darkness. But had she let go? Or had the river forced them apart? Divers pulled me out 2 miles downstream, Emma continued quietly. I was alive. Olivia staggered back a step. What? A fisherman found me caught in reeds. I was unconscious. By the time I woke up, they had already declared me dead. Father identified the wrong body. That's impossible. Grief makes people careless. Olivia's head spun. Then why didn't you come home? Emma's smile was brittle. Because I heard something before I woke up fully. I heard Father say, at least we still have Olivia. The words fell heavy. Olivia remembered the weeks after the accident. Her father clinging to her. Watching her constantly. She had interpreted it as love. Emma had heard something else. He chose you, Emma said softly. Even in his grief. That's not. You were always first, Liv. 2 minutes older. 2 minutes better. That's ridiculous. Is it? Emma's voice sharpened. Who got the better grades? The scholarships? The attention? We were children. Exactly. Olivia tried to steady herself. You could have come back anytime. Emma's eyes darkened. After hearing that? After realizing I was the replaceable one? So you disappeared. I survived. By stealing my identity? Emma laughed softly. I didn't steal it. I perfected it. The truth clicked into place slowly, horrifyingly. Emma had studied her. Mirrored her. Learned her patterns. The braided login timestamps. The flawless digital mimicry. You've been watching me, Olivia said. For years. How? Emma walked toward a desk near the window and opened a drawer. Inside were folders. Newspaper clippings. Printed interviews. Photos of Olivia leaving courtrooms. Court transcripts. Personal details only someone obsessively tracking her would gather. You built a shrine, Olivia whispered. I built justice. For what? An accident? Emma's expression cracked, rage flashing through composure. It wasn't just the river. Olivia froze. What do you mean? Emma stepped closer, lowering her voice. You don't remember everything. A chill crept into Olivia's spine. Remember what? Emma's gaze bored into her. The fight in the car. Olivia's breath faltered. There had been shouting. Rain. Their mother's voice strained. You pushed me, Emma said. The world tilted. No. You were angry. I took your bracelet. You shoved me. I hit the door. The car swerved. That's not true. It is. Olivia's heart pounded violently. Fragments of memory flickered, anger, grabbing, slippery fingers. But was it real? Or was Emma rewriting history? You're lying, Olivia said, but the conviction wasn't there. Emma leaned in. I spent 25 years replaying that moment underwater. I didn't just drown, live. I remembered. Olivia felt her sense of reality beginning to fracture. If she had caused the crash. If she had pushed. You destroyed my life over a childhood accident? Olivia whispered. Emma's eyes were glassy now. You destroyed mine first. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance. Storm clouds gathered over the river. How did you survive all these years? Olivia asked faintly. A couple from out of state fostered me. They never connected me to the accident. I kept quiet. Changed my name. Watched from afar. And when you found me? Emma's lips curved. I waited until you had something worth losing. $3 million. Career. Reputation. Freedom. You could have just confronted me, Olivia said. Emma shook her head. You would have denied it. I still do. A pause. Then Emma stepped closer until their faces were inches apart. "That's the worst part," she whispered. "You don't even remember ruining me." A loud crack of thunder shook the house. Rain began falling, heavy, relentless. Olivia suddenly understood something chilling. "You didn't just want revenge," she said slowly. "You wanted me to doubt myself." Emma smiled faintly. "Yes." Olivia's chest tightened. Because doubt was worse than prison. Doubt was a life sentence. "You always were the stronger twin," Emma said softly. "Now we'll see how strong you are when you don't know who you really are." Lightning flashed through the windows, illuminating them, identical faces locked in silent war. Two mirrors. One truth. And somewhere beneath layers of memory and resentment, something far more dangerous stirred. Because Olivia wasn't entirely sure anymore whether Emma was telling the truth. The rain didn't stop. It lashed against the windows like something trying to get in. Or something trying to keep them inside. Olivia stood motionless in the center of the living room while Emma watched her, not triumphantly, not angrily. Patiently. Like a scientist observing the first crack in glass. "You're shaking," Emma said softly. "I'm cold." "You always hated storms." Olivia didn't respond. Because that part was true. She had always hated storms. Not for the thunder. For the sound of rushing water inside them. "You need to leave," Olivia said finally. Emma raised an eyebrow. "You're the one standing in my house." Their house, Olivia wanted to say. But she didn't. Because it no longer felt like hers. "Why now?" Olivia asked. "Why wait 25 years?" Emma walked toward the window, watching the river swell in the rain. "Because children forgive accidents," she said quietly. "Adults don't." "That doesn't answer the question." Emma turned. "I needed you to build something first." "My career." "Your identity." Olivia felt that word land heavy again. Identity. "You didn't just want me punished," Olivia said slowly. "You wanted me dismantled." Emma's lips curved slightly. "Yes." Later that night, Olivia drove back to the motel in a daze. The road blurred. The rain blurred. Her thoughts blurred. "You pushed me." The sentence looped. Had she? She remembered grabbing the bracelet. She remembered Emma laughing. She remembered anger. But anger wasn't proof. Memory was fragile. Especially childhood memory. Especially trauma memory. She needed facts. Not feelings. At 6:30 a.m., she called Daniel. "I need everything from the accident," she said. "Police report, hospital intake records, witness statements, especially from whoever found Emma." Daniel hesitated. "Olivia, if she's alive, why would there be?" "Just find them." By afternoon, Daniel sent her scanned copies. Olivia spread them across the motel bed. The police report was brief. Single vehicle accident. Rainslick bridge. Driver lost control. 2 minors in back seat. 1 body recovered, female, approximate age 8. Identified by father as Emma Carter. Olivia's pulse slowed. Identified by father. Not by dental records. Not by fingerprints. The body had been waterlogged, partially obscured. The fisherman's statement was attached separately. "I recovered 1 child from downstream," it read. Unconscious but breathing. Ambulance transported her before authorities confirmed identities. Recovered 1 child. Not 2. Olivia frowned. There was no official record of a second rescue. No second hospital intake. Her hands went cold. She flipped through the hospital documents. Olivia Carter, admitted for hypothermia and minor concussion. No mention of Emma being admitted anywhere in the county. She stared at the pages. If Emma had been rescued downstream and survived, Where was the medical documentation? Unless Emma had been taken somewhere else. Or someone had removed her before authorities arrived. Her chest tightened. Something about this didn't fit. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. She didn't hesitate this time. What do you want? She demanded. Emma's voice flowed through the line. You're digging. Yes. A pause. Good. Olivia frowned. You want me to find something? I want you to remember. Memory isn't evidence. No, Emma said softly. It's worse. That night, Olivia couldn't stop thinking about the bracelet. 2 silver beads. She had tied them herself. Emma claimed Olivia pushed her over a bracelet. But Olivia's bracelet had been red and blue thread. The one she found by the river was only red. Why different? Why newer? She grabbed her laptop and zoomed in on the childhood photograph Emma had sent. The girls by the river. 2 bracelets visible. Olivia's red and blue. Emma's only red. Her breath caught. The bracelet found in the reeds had only red thread. Emma's. But it hadn't looked 25 years old. It had looked preserved. Almost recently placed. Her stomach dropped. The bracelet hadn't been evidence. It had been bait. The next morning, Olivia returned to the house unannounced. Emma was in the kitchen, calm, composed, as if expecting her. You planted it, Olivia said immediately. Emma sipped her coffee. Planted what? The bracelet. Emma didn't answer. You wanted me to spiral, Olivia continued. To question my memory before we even spoke. Emma smiled faintly. You're a lawyer. You know how suggestion works. Olivia stepped closer. The bracelet wasn't water damaged. It wasn't 25 years old. Emma set her mug down slowly. I kept it dry. For decades? Emma's silence was answer enough. The realization hit Olivia with sudden clarity. This isn't about truth, she said. It's about control. Emma's eyes flashed. You controlled everything after the accident. I was 8. And you were chosen. Olivia exhaled sharply. No. That's your narrative. Not mine. Emma's jaw tightened. You don't get to rewrite my survival. And you don't get to fabricate my guilt. The tension between them snapped taut. Olivia pulled out printed copies of the accident report. There's no record of a second hospital admission, she said. Emma's expression didn't change. You expect small-town police to admit they misidentified a body? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Olivia held her gaze. I'm saying there are gaps. Emma's eyes darkened slightly. Be careful, Liv. Why? Because you might not like what you find in them. Silence stretched. Rain dripped from the roof outside. The river roared louder than before. Then Olivia asked the question that had been clawing at her mind. Who was the body? Emma's composure flickered for the first time. A pause too long. Olivia saw it. You don't know, she whispered. Emma's voice dropped, almost imperceptibly. It doesn't matter. It matters if you're accusing me of causing the crash. Emma stepped forward suddenly. You did cause it. Prove it. The words hung in the air. Emma's breathing sharpened. You were angry, she said. You shoved me. That's not proof. It's memory. Memory can be altered. Emma's expression hardened. Are you suggesting I imagine drowning? I'm suggesting trauma reshapes truth. Emma stared at her. Then, softly. Maybe yours did. Olivia felt something shift. For the first time since seeing Emma alive, doubt wasn't aimed at herself. It was aimed at her. Emma's story had holes. The missing hospital record. The staged bracelet. The convenient narrative of being less loved. And the body. Who had actually been buried? A new possibility emerged, terrifying in a different way. What if Emma hadn't been rescued? What if she had been taken by someone who needed a child? Someone who found a girl alone by a river before authorities did. And built a new identity around resentment. Not because of a shove. But because of abandonment. Who raised you? Olivia asked quietly. Emma stiffened. A couple. Names? That's irrelevant. It's not. Emma's silence deepened. Olivia pressed. Did they know who you were? A flicker. No. They told you your family chose the wrong child, Olivia said slowly. Emma's eyes glistened, just slightly. They didn't have to tell me. I heard it myself. At 8. Half conscious. Emma's voice trembled, barely. I heard it. Or you needed to. The words landed like a crack in ice. Emma stepped back. You don't get to invalidate my memory. And you don't get to weaponize it. They stood facing each other again, but something had changed. This wasn't predator and prey anymore. It was two wounded children arguing inside adult bodies. Olivia took a breath. If I pushed you, she said carefully, it was an accident. Emma's eyes flashed. That's your defense? It's the truth. Emma's voice broke slightly. Accidents still ruin lives. Yes, Olivia said quietly. They do. The thunder rolled again. Louder. Closer. The river surged against its banks. And for the first time, Olivia realized something far more dangerous than guilt or innocence. Emma didn't just want revenge. She wanted validation. She needed Olivia to confess. Whether it was true or not. Suddenly, headlights flashed through the front window. A car pulling into the driveway. Emma froze. Olivia noticed. Expecting someone, she asked. Emma's face had gone pale. No. A knock at the door? Firm. Official. Olivia's stomach dropped. Emma didn't move. The knock came again. Ms. Carter? Federal investigators. Olivia turned slowly toward Emma. Did you call them? Emma's eyes were wide. No. Another knock. Open the door. Olivia's heart pounded. If Emma hadn't called them, then someone else knew. And had been watching. Not just Olivia. Both of them. Emma whispered something under her breath. What? Olivia demanded. Emma's voice was barely audible. They weren't supposed to find this house yet. The words chilled Olivia more than the storm. Weren't supposed to. Meaning someone had a timeline. A plan. And it wasn't just Emma. The knock turned into pounding. Open the door. Olivia and Emma locked eyes. For the first time. They were afraid of the same thing. The pounding on the door grew harder. Ms. Carter. We know you're inside. Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs. Emma's eyes darted toward the back of the house. There's a rear exit, she whispered. Olivia didn't move. If we run, we look guilty. We are guilty, Emma snapped, then corrected herself. Of different things. Another bang against the door. Last warning. Olivia stepped forward. No. Emma grabbed her arm. You don't understand. Then explain. Emma's voice was tight, urgent. They're not here just for you. A crack splintered through the front door frame. They're here for Redwood. The shell company. The stolen money. Good, Olivia said. You deserve to answer for that. Emma's face shifted, not anger. Fear. You still think I took it. You admitted you did. Emma shook her head. I said I moved it. The door burst inward. Agents flooded the entryway. Hands up. Shouts. Weapons drawn. Olivia raised her arms slowly. Emma did the same. Olivia Carter, one agent said sharply, you are under arrest for wire fraud, corporate embezzlement, and obstruction of investigation. They moved toward her. Not Emma. Olivia's blood ran cold. What about her? Olivia demanded. Evelyn Carter, that's the name on the property. She owns Redwood Advisory. The lead agent glanced briefly at Emma. She's not listed as a suspect. Olivia turned. Emma's face had gone eerily still. You told me you transferred the funds, Olivia said. Emma's gaze held hers. I said I moved them. Two very different things. Before Olivia could react, cold metal cuffs locked around her wrists. The drive back to Manhattan felt unreal. Olivia sat in the back of a federal vehicle, rain streaking across the window. Emma's face replayed in her mind. She hadn't looked victorious. She had looked cornered. At the holding facility, Olivia demanded one phone call. Daniel answered immediately. They arrested me, she said. I know. I'm already on it. Emma wasn't taken. A pause. That's not possible. The financial trail leads directly to the property under Evelyn M. Carter. That's her. Olivia, Daniel hesitated. Redwood Advisory's operating authority doesn't list Evelyn Carter as the beneficiary. Olivia's stomach dropped. Then who? Someone named Adrian Voss. The name meant nothing. Dig, Olivia said. Now. Emma stood alone in the quiet house after the agents left. Her hands were trembling. Not from fear. From unraveling. She walked to the desk near the window and opened the bottom drawer. Inside was a second phone. She turned it on. One message waited. You were told not to accelerate the timeline. Her throat tightened. She typed back. They came early. The response came instantly. No. They came exactly when planned. Emma felt the room shift beneath her. In her cell, Olivia lay awake, replaying everything. Emma had been angry, yes. Obsessed, yes. But something hadn't fit. The bracelet planted. The emotional manipulation. The gaps in the accident records. And now. A third name. Adrian Voss. She whispered it to herself. Who was he? And why wasn't Emma the one being arrested? By morning, Daniel had answers. He met Olivia in the attorney-client interview room. Adrian Voss, he began, spreading documents across the table, was a licensed foster parent 25 years ago. Olivia's pulse spiked. Where? Upstate. 2 counties north of the accident. Her breath shortened. He and his wife fostered a child in 2001. Female. Approximate age 8. No prior documented identity. Olivia's voice barely emerged. Emma. Daniel nodded slowly. But here's the part that gets worse. Olivia braced herself. Voss was investigated 3 years later for financial misconduct tied to offshore accounts. Charges dropped due to insufficient evidence. Offshore, Olivia whispered. Redwood Advisory isn't new, Daniel continued. It's a reactivation of one of Voss's old shell structures. Everything inside Olivia went still. You're telling me, she said slowly, that the man who raised Emma is the same man funneling the money that frames me. Yes. And Emma doesn't know? Daniel hesitated. I don't think she does. The pieces began sliding into place with terrifying clarity. Emma had been 8. Rescued, or found, by Adrian Voss. A man already skilled in financial manipulation. A man capable of erasing trails. A man who could tell a traumatized child any story he wanted. Your family chose the wrong body. They didn't look for you. They were relieved it wasn't Olivia. Resentment nurtured carefully. Over years. Directed. Cultivated. Weaponized. She didn't build this plan alone, Olivia whispered. No, Daniel agreed. She was shaped into it. Meanwhile, Emma stood in the living room staring at the old family photo. Her phone buzzed again. You let her see too much. Her chest tightened. She typed. You said the money would only implicate her temporarily. A long pause before the reply. Temporary guilt is permanent destruction. That was always the point. Her breathing grew uneven. That hadn't been what she'd believed. She had wanted Olivia to doubt. To feel unstable. Not imprisoned. Not ruined forever. Another message appeared. Return to the original directive. Remove yourself from visibility. Emma's hands began to shake. Remove yourself. Disappear again. Like she had at 8. No. Not again. For the first time in 25 years, doubt crept into Emma's certainty. Had she been avenging herself? Or fulfilling someone else's revenge? Olivia sat forward in the interview room. Find Voss, she said. Daniel nodded. I already am. 3 days later, Emma received a knock at the door. Not federal. Not loud. Precise. She knew that knock. Her body went rigid. Adrian Voss stepped inside without waiting for invitation. He was older now. Gray at the temples. Polished. Controlled. Emma, he said warmly. She didn't answer. You mishandled the timing. You told me the transfers would expose her, not imprison her. His expression cooled. You wanted her to suffer. I wanted her to understand. Voss studied her. Understanding is irrelevant. Outcomes matter. She stared at him. You used me. A faint smile. I saved you. No, she whispered. You found me. And gave you purpose. Emma felt something inside her crack. You told me my family chose the wrong child. They did. You don't know that. I know your father identified another body and buried it. Her breath hitched. What if he made a mistake? Voss's gaze sharpened. Don't rewrite your own origin. Emma stepped back. Did you ever try to find out whose body it was? A flicker. Just slight. She saw it. He hadn't. Or worse. He had. And buried that truth too. Across town, Daniel called Olivia. We found Voss, he said. He's been operating under multiple business entities. He's careful. But he slipped. How? He transferred a portion of the embezzled funds before your arrest into an offshore holding account tied to his name. Olivia's pulse steadied for the first time in days. Can you prove it? Yes. She exhaled slowly. Then Emma isn't the mastermind. No, Daniel said quietly. She's the weapon. That night, Emma stood alone in the house again. The river outside roared louder than ever. Storm waters rising. She stared at her reflection in the darkened window. 2 faces. One life built on resentment. One life built on ambition. Both manipulated. Her phone buzzed again. It's time to disappear. Emma's jaw tightened. For once. She didn't respond. In her cell, Olivia stared at the ceiling. The truth was no longer simple. She hadn't just been framed by a bitter sister. She had been targeted by a man who understood how to twist trauma into loyalty. A man who had shaped Emma's entire adult life. And possibly. A man who had known exactly which child was pulled from the river. A cold realization slid into place. If Voss had found Emma before authorities. If he had access to the accident site. If he had motive. Then the unidentified body in the river might not have been an accident at all. The rain finally stopped. But the river hadn't. It swelled beyond its banks, brown and violent, chewing at the earth like it wanted something back. Emma stood on the back porch at dawn, staring at the current. She hadn't slept. Adrian Voss's last message echoed in her head. It's time to disappear. She had disappeared once already. At 8 years old. Cold. Half-conscious. Alone. She remembered flashes now, not just the water. Hands. Not gentle. Pulling her from reeds. A man's voice. You're lucky, he'd said. Lucky. She used to believe that. Now she wasn't sure. Across town, Olivia was being processed for formal indictment. Her legal team had managed to delay arraignment based on new evidence Daniel submitted linking Adrian Voss to the offshore transfers. But delay wasn't freedom. It was borrowed time. Daniel leaned forward in the visitation room. There's something else, he said quietly. Olivia braced herself. We reopened the coroner's archive from the accident. And? The body recovered that night, the one your father identified as Emma. Olivia's pulse slowed. Yes? It wasn't conclusively identified. I know that. No dental records. No DNA testing. It was 2001, small town, limited resources. Then whose body was it? Daniel hesitated. They exhumed the grave yesterday. Olivia felt the air leave her lungs. And? The remains don't match either of you. Silence filled the space between them. What do you mean don't match? Your firm still had your childhood dental records on file for insurance purposes. We compared. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. It wasn't Emma, she whispered. No. And it wasn't me. No. The river hadn't just taken one sister. It had hidden another truth. Emma felt her phone vibrate in her pocket. Unknown number. She answered. Emma Carter, a woman's voice asked. Yes. This is Detective Hannah Green from Rockland County. Emma's throat tightened. We've reopened the investigation into the Carter accident. Her vision blurred slightly. Why? Because the remains buried under your name don't belong to you. Emma's fingers went numb. That's impossible. We also found fibers in the recovered vehicle that don't match any documented occupants. Emma's mind fractured. What are you saying? I'm saying there may have been a third person in that car. The world tilted. A third person. That wasn't possible. It had only been her, Olivia, and their mother. Unless. Memory shifted violently. A fight in the front seat. Their mother shouting at someone. Not just at the rain. At someone else. Emma's breath came shallow. Detective, she whispered, was there any evidence of tampering? A pause. Yes. The word landed like thunder. The brake line showed signs of prior damage. Olivia gripped the edge of the metal table. The crash wasn't an accident, she said. Daniel nodded. It appears not. Her thoughts spiraled. Their mother lost control on a slick bridge. But if the brakes were compromised? Someone intended that car to fail. Someone who knew their route. Someone who had access beforehand. Her mind jumped immediately to Adrian Voss. But how? He didn't know them then. Did he? Where was Voss living at the time? Olivia asked suddenly. Daniel pulled up archive data. He owned property less than 15 miles from the accident site. The air in Olivia's lungs turned to ice. Emma drove to town in a daze. The detective agreed to meet her in person. The station smelled of coffee and old paper. Detective Green studied her carefully. You look exactly like the photographs, she said softly. Emma didn't respond. The detective slid a file across the desk. Your mother had filed a report 3 weeks before the accident. Emma's hands trembled as she opened it. Harassment complaint. Against Adrian Voss. Her vision blurred. He'd approached her about an investment opportunity, the detective explained. Offshore accounts. She declined. Emma's heart pounded violently. There were multiple follow-up calls. Unwanted. Why wasn't this investigated? Emma whispered. It was dismissed. No evidence of threat. Emma stared at the date on the complaint. 3 weeks before the bridge. He targeted her, she said faintly. The detective held her gaze. It's possible. And the third body? We're still running DNA. But preliminary analysis suggests it was a missing child reported in a neighboring county days before your accident. Emma's stomach twisted. A missing child. Another little girl. Her voice cracked. You think he? We think, the detective interrupted gently, that someone staged a body to ensure the wrong child was buried. Emma's entire world split open. Olivia stood slowly in the visitation room. He sabotaged the brakes, she said. It appears so. He needed a death. Daniel nodded. A dead child creates chaos. Grief. Confusion. And if he was nearby? He could have removed one of you before authorities sorted identities. Olivia's mind raced. He took Emma. And left another body. Why? Daniel's voice dropped. To erase her. Emma stumbled out of the station into daylight that felt unreal. Her entire life had been built on one belief. You were unwanted. Now that belief was dissolving. Her mother hadn't chosen Olivia. Her mother had rejected Voss. And Voss had retaliated. Not against money. Against her. He didn't save her from the river. He stole her from it. Emma drove straight to the house. Voss was inside. Calm. Expecting her. You went to the police, he said evenly. You sabotaged the car. He didn't answer. You targeted my mother. She rejected an opportunity. You killed her. Silence. That was answer enough. Emma felt something inside her collapse completely. You needed a child, she whispered. A child without history is moldable. Rage unlike anything she'd known surged through her. You told me my family didn't want me. He stepped closer. They buried another girl. You made sure of that. His eyes hardened. I gave you purpose. You gave me hatred. A faint smile. It made you strong. Emma's hands shook. No, she said. It made me yours. In Manhattan, Daniel burst into the detention facility. They have enough to arrest Voss, he told Olivia. Her chest tightened. And Emma? She's not implicated in the brake sabotage. She was 8. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. She believed him. Yes. Olivia swallowed. We have to find her. Back at the house, the river roared louder than ever. Voss stepped toward Emma. You don't need them, he said calmly. They failed you. You failed me. He reached for her wrist. Instinctively, she shoved him. He stumbled backward. Toward the open back door. Toward the slick porch. Toward the roaring river below. For one suspended second. It was the bridge again. Rain. Panic. A shove. History repeating. Emma froze. She saw his balance falter. Saw the edge. And in that instant, she understood something Olivia had carried for 25 years. Accidents happen in seconds. And they echo forever. Voss's eyes widened. Emma. She grabbed his coat. Pulled him back from the edge. Not to save him. But to face him. Sirens wailed in the distance. He heard them too. You wouldn't exist without me, he hissed. Emma's voice was steady now. I existed before you. Police vehicles screeched into the driveway. Officers flooded the property. Voss didn't resist. He only watched Emma as they cuffed him. Cold. Calculating. You'll still doubt yourself, he said quietly. I built that into you. For the first time. She didn't believe him. Hours later, Olivia stood outside the same house. Free on temporary release. Emma stepped onto the porch. They stared at each other. No rage now. Just exhaustion. He killed her, Emma said softly. Olivia nodded. I know. And the other girl. Olivia swallowed. I know. Silence. Then Emma's voice broke slightly. You didn't push me. Olivia's breath caught. I remembered wrong. Olivia stepped closer. Trauma does that. Emma nodded faintly. I hated you for surviving. I hated myself for it, Olivia whispered. The river rushed behind them. Still powerful. Still dangerous. But no longer holding the truth hostage. Emma looked at her sister, really looked at her. Not as a rival. Not as a replacement. But as the only other person who understood what had been taken. What happens now? Emma asked quietly. Olivia didn't have a lawyer's answer. Or a strategist's answer. Just a sister's. We rebuild, she said. The word felt fragile. But real. The storm had passed. The river still flowed. And for the first time in 25 years. Neither of them was drowning.